Okay. Okay. Good morning. Good morning, my dear students, Prep 3. Welcome back. Are you ready for Prep 3? All of you ready? Okay. Today, we will make revision on all curriculums for Prep, from Prep 1 till Prep 3, to know our curriculums. First of all, I want to introduce our curriculum. We have 4 units. Unit 1 talks about speed, motion, and acceleration. We have 3 lessons, talks about the physics unit. You now Prep 3, inshallah. In the next year, you will be secondary 1. You will take physics, biology, chemistry. They are separated from each other. So in each term, in this year, we will take unit physics, unit biology, unit chemistry, unit earth science. Okay, so the first unit is physics. Speak about motion, speed, and acceleration, scalar and vector quantities. The second unit, also it's physics, speaks on the types of energy, especially light energy. We have 2 lessons. Unit 3, only 1 lesson, speaks about solar system and theories about evolution of our system. Finally, Unit 4, it's a biology unit, speaks about meiosis and mitosis, chemical cell division. Okay? So we will start by Unit 1. Unit 1 speaks about force and motion. Unit 1, force and motion. What's meant by motion? Anyone can tell me about the motion? What's meant by motion? When you move from start point to end point, what is the change? When you go from your room to the reception, what is the change in this motion or movement process? Who can tell me?
The change in position.
Position, yes, sure. Yusuf? And position only, or what else? Maybe time?
Yes, maybe.
Yes, change the position. So when the object's position changes as the time passes according to the position of another object, we can say that the object is in a state of motion. The difference between static object and motion, the change of position and time, the change of position and a time. So we can identify the speed. When Mahmoud moves and Yusuf moves, we notice that Mahmoud reach faster than Yusuf. Why? Why Mahmoud reaches faster? Are they move with the same speed or different speed? Maybe Mahmoud go faster. That's right. Takes less time or more time. Takes short time for movements or more time?
Short time.
Short time, yes. So speed, it is the distance covered by an object in a unit time. When you move a certain distance in a certain time, we can calculate the speed of an object. We can calculate the speed of an object. Is it easy? So the measuring unit of speed is meter per second. Meter per second. And the measuring unit of distance is meter. Measuring unit of distance is meter. Measuring unit of time is a second. These are international measuring units. Okay. Okay. In prep 1, I think you had studied before the relative motion and types of motion. That's right. What's meant by relative motion? Relative, it means object moves from position to another and another object moves from position to another relative to another object or an observer. If I stand on my place and Yusuf وجنى go from position to another, I observe Yusuf and observe Jana. So I can calculate the relative speed or relative motion. The simple meaning of relative motion is the change in an object's position or its direction. Position or a direction, maybe from left to right or right to left, maybe forward or backward. That's right. So relative motion is the change in object's position or its direction with time pass in proportion to in proportion to a unit time. Second type of motion, this is the first type of motion. The second type, we have periodic motion or transitional motion. Can you tell me the difference between both of them? Yes, Noor, what do you want? Noor, can you ask your question? Noor. Okay. We have two types of motion, periodic motion and transitional motion. Periodic means repeated regularly. Periodic motions, it means it's a motion which is regularly repeated in equal periods of time. This means that who can ask or speak, please tell me. Okay. If you want anything, please raise your hands and you can ask. احنا خلاص احنا كبرنا. انتم ممكن تكلموا براحتكم وعايزين السيشن فعلا نستفيد. اي سيشن نحضرها نستفيد منها. ماشي؟ اتفقنا؟ البريودك motion, it is the motion which is repeated regularly in equal periods of time. This means that when you move from position to another but equal intervals of time, يعني أنا مثلا همشي خطوة كل 1 minute. Every 1 minute I will go one step. So it is the periodic motion. It is called a periodic motion. What are the types of periodic motion? What are the types? We have 3 types: vibrating motion, circular motion, and wave motion. We have vibrating motions like pendulum, circular motion like a fan, and wave motion like water waves. Wave motion like water waves. Is it easy? Okay. What's meant by transitional motion? Transitional, it means the object change its position. This is the main type for our in this year, like motion of the train, motion of the car. Transitional motion, it is the motion when the object position changes in proportion to a fixed frame of a reference from time to time, from initial and final position. How can I measure the transitional position again? It is the motion when the object's position changes from the start point or initial position to the end point or the final position. Like the position of the train, like the position of bike or the car, anything of this transportation, means of transportation. So the difference between periodic motion and transitional motion, periodic motion repeated regularly, but transitional motion change from position to another, okay? And now we will study Jana. Jana, can you tell me what are the types of motion before I transfer from this point? Can you tell me? Jana, are you hear me? Jana, Abdurrahman.
Yes.
Can you tell me the different types of motion?
أقولهم كلهم ولا أقول
Yes.
wave motion, circular motion تاني, transitional motion.
Yes. Circular, vibrating, and transitional. And all of them, they are related to the again. We have periodic motion and transitional motion. Periodic motion, we have vibrating, circular, and wave motion. Okay? Transitional motion, it is the motion of train, bike, and so on. Okay? All of this, the revision from Prep 1 and Prep 2. This is the first part of our lesson in Prep 3. We will speak specially on speed. Uniform speed. What is the mean of uniform speed? Uniform speed, it means the speed, regular speed, which the speed repeated at equal times in equal distance. Speeds can identified by two factors, distance and time. When an object moves with an equal distance at equal periods of time, what is the mean of equal distance at equal periods? If the car moves 10 meters every second, 20 meters every 2 seconds, 30 meters every 3 seconds. So I can name this speed by uniform speed. This speed named by uniform speed. Why? Why we can name it by uniform speed? As the object moves with a equal distance at equal periods of time. A moving object cover equal distance at equal periods of a time. The speedometer, this called the speedometer, which present in cars or airplanes or every means of transportation. This can calculate the speed directly. How can the speedometer measure the speed? It measures the speed, the distance covered in a unit A time. Means measures the distance covered in a unit A time. If the speedometer indicates point to 70, so it means the car moves with 70 kilometers per hour. So we have two units, measuring units, kilometer per hour or meter per second, kilometer per hour or meter per second. It depends on the position of object and the movement or types of motion of an object. Non-uniform or non-uniform speed. Who can tell me what is the difference between uniform and non-uniform? Try to guess the definition of non-uniform speed. Can you guess? Who can guess? Ruqayya, are you hear me? You identify the uniform speed. Please try to guess the definition of non-uniform speed. Ruqayya, are you hear me? Please try to guess. Non-uniform. It moves with equal distance or unequal distance at equal times or unequal time?
Unequal time.
With equal distance or unequal distance? Let's see. A moving object covers different or unequal distance at equal periods of time, or it covers equal distance at unequal periods of time. So one of them will be equal and the another unequal. We can't say non-uniform speed, moving object covers unequal distance at unequal periods of time. It will not be non-uniform, okay? So non-uniform speed, the object moves with unequal distance with equal periods of time, or equal distance at unequal periods of time. Is it easy?
Yes.
Okay. Also, not in this lesson, in the next lesson for this unit, I will give you a simple introduction for the first unit. We will study acceleration. What's meant by acceleration and what is the difference between acceleration and the speed? Speed related to distance and time. We calculate the distance and time, so I can calculate the speed. But acceleration related to speed and time. Acceleration related to the speed and time. So to calculate acceleration, I must know the speed first. So if I have distance and time, I calculate the speed. But acceleration not equals the speed divide time, equals the change in the speed. What is the meaning of the change? Change means V final minus V initial. V final minus V initial. V final, it is the end point. V initial, it is the start point. When the car moves from point A to point B, okay? So it is the V initial and this is VA final. So acceleration equal V final minus V initial divide the time which the change occurs, okay? We will have some examples to identify this. Again, let us again explain the difference between speed and acceleration. Speed equal distance divide time, but acceleration equals the change in the speed equal V final minus V initial divide time. Accelerating and decelerating motion. Acceleration may have negative value or positive value. Depends on what? Depends on a V final and V initial. That's right. You got it or not? Acceleration increase if the object's speed increase by time. Acceleration decrease and will be negative value if the object's speed decrease by time. And I will explain it simply. Just a minute. If we have two objects, A, this is the end point and final point. You have the screen. You see the screen well? This is V initial and this is V final, okay? We said acceleration equal V final minus V initial divide delta T. This is car 1. Maybe V initial 0 and V final 60 meter per second. Okay, so can you calculate the acceleration 60 in 3 seconds. Okay? 60 minus 0 divide 3 equal 60 divide 3 equal 20 meter per second. So it is a positive value. That's right. It means accelerating or decelerating. The acceleration increase or decrease by time. Who can tell me, Abdurrahman? Do you understand? Please, if you misunderstand anything, please tell me. Okay? If this may be 150 meter per second and it will be 80 meter per second. This speed V initial and V final decrease or increase? The acceleration increase or decrease? Yusuf, can you tell me? Mahmoud? Yusuf Hani, please answer. Who can calculate the acceleration with me? Okay. V final minus V initial divide delta T. V final 80 minus V initial 150 divide delta T. It will be 70 divide 3. This is the time. That's easy. So it will be 20.3 تقريبا meter per second. But it will be by negative. That's right. Why this called decelerating? As the acceleration decrease by time. The acceleration decrease by time. The speed decrease. The V initial more than V final. If you're confused, I want to know just we have two types of acceleration. Positive acceleration and negative acceleration. And I will explain it later more, inshallah. Okay? Let's continue. Okay, we have finished accelerating and decelerating motion. After that, we will study in lesson 3 the vector and scalar quantities. What's meant by vector and scalar? Vector, it means we concern two directions. We have the difference between the distance and displacement. We have simple difference between distance and displacement. What's meant by displacement? Displacement is the length of the shortest straight line between two positions. It means that we have in the first point A to B, we calculate the total distance. This is the zigzag motion, that's right. But when we calculate the displacement, we calculate the straight A line. We will calculate the straight line and we will study it later, inshallah. Also, we need to know the difference between speed and velocity. Speed and a velocity. It also depends on the direction of the displacement. The direction is determined from the start point till the end point. Velocity, it is the displacement in 1 second or in a unit time. So we have two difference between distance and displacement, and we have difference between velocity and speed. So average velocity equal displacement divide time, but the speed equal distance divide time. Maybe displacement and distance may be equal if the car moves with a straight line. But if they move with curved line, it will be different. It will be different. Okay. Thanks a lot for you today. This is the introduction for the first unit. From the next session, inshallah, أنا هبدأ first lesson. هبدأ الفirst lesson. So I want all of you to attend the session to follow up with me from the first lesson. Okay. This is the introduction for the first unit. على فكرة unit 1 سهلة جدا. هي محتاجة بس concentration بس في الايه؟ في البروبلمز. احنا مش هناخد اكتر من اللي انا اتكلمت فيه ده، بس هنعمل فوكس على البروبلمز، هنعمل فوكس على ترانسفورميشن، هنحل كتير بروبلمز كتير. لكن يونت 1 انتوا معاكم 3 lessons مضمونين معاكم. اتفقنا؟ من next session ان شاء الله انا هنحضر كلنا مع بعض عشان هبدأ المنهج الطبيعي بتاعنا. انا النهارده خلصت السيشن بتاعتي. ممكن تقولوا لي في حد مش فاهم حاجة؟ في حد عايزني اعيد له حاجة؟ في حد عنده مشكلة في السيشن؟ طيب، okay. Thanks a lot for your listening and have a nice day. Bye bye. Goodbye, my dear student.